Deep dish pizza is not only not better than New York pizza, it's not pizza. It's a casserole.
Today we're gonna make a casserole.
We're starting with 8 1/4 ounces of room temperature water.
We're starting with 8 1/4 ounces of room temperature water.
2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast.
2 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast.
A teaspoon of sugar, which is going to act as a nice little snack for our yeast while we let it bloom for 10 minutes.
A teaspoon of sugar as a snack for me. And then another teaspoon of sugar as a snack for the yeast. Give it a little mix with my Ligma fork and then let it bloom for 10 minutes.
We're going to whisk together the dry stuff, 12 1/2 ounces of all-purpose flour.
While we wait for the yeast, we'll prepare 12 1/2 ounces of all-purpose flour.
2 1/2 ounces of medium grind cornmeal.
I'm gonna use masa for this recipe, and this genius plan has 2 reasons. 1, I don't have cornmeal. And 2, I'll explain in a sec.
1 1/2 teaspoons of kosher salt.
1 teaspoon of sea salt.
And 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar.
Cream of tartar is also known as potassium bitartrate. Has a pH range from 3.5 to 5. The acidic nature of it will affect the gluten structure of the dough, making it more tender and delicate. On the other hand, a slightly more alkaline dough would be more stretchy and pliable. Our dough right now has a high pH because instead of cornmeal, we used masa, which was soaked in an alkaline solution. Babish chose to add the cream of tartar for an acidic dough with the best flavor. I chose an alkaline dough because it's the easiest to work with. But most importantly, ever since high school, I learned how to spill a bunch of nonsense to justify my laziness.
Go ahead and tiny whisk to combine. Make sure that everything's all good and homogeneous.
Then we'll Ligma fork it to combine till homogeneous.
And then it's time to get it wet, or rather add it to the wet ingredients.
Then it's time to add it to the wet ingredients, or rather get it wet.
Goes along with 1/3 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil.
Then a little more than 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil.
Affix dough hooks and get to stirring.
Affix dough hook will get to stirring.
We're just going to let this go on low speed for 1 or 2 minutes until the dough clears the side of the bowl.
I'll let my Ligma fork go on low speed for 1 to 2 minutes till it looks like old scrambled eggs.
And then we're going to crank up the speed to medium and let it knead for 7 to 8 minutes.
And then we'll switch to our hands to knead for 7 to 8 minutes.
But even if you measure everything exactly, it might end up a little bit too hydrated like mine is.
My dough is at its perfect dryness because my hand is incapable of making anything wet.
Like most pizza doughs, it will become even more handleable after hanging out in the bowl for 60 to 90 minutes or until doubled in size.
After we tug the dough into a ball, we'll oil up a bowl and then rest for 90 minutes.
And while Chicago pizzerias generally use aluminum pans, at home our best bet is cast iron.
While most home cooks worship the cast iron, my best bet is a non-stick pan, which is also the only thing I have.
Which, along with a liberal lubrication of vegetable oil, is going to help our pizza brown more robustly.
After we let a liberal lubricate with oil, we become more robustly.
Just gently press and stretch the dough out and try to push it up against the sides of the pan.
Now we'll stretch the dough and push it up the sides of the pan.
It's going to resist a little at first, but that's okay. We're going to let this rest under cover of plastic wrap for 20 to 30 minutes.
My dough basically had no resistance. I think it's ready to bake, but just in case, I'm gonna cover it and let it rest for 20 minutes.
It's enough time to talk about tomato sauce. So we're just gonna make a rudimentary marinara sauce by finely chopping half a white onion.
Now we'll finely chop half of a white onion.
Nice job, team.
And smashing and peeling a few cloves of garlic.
I don't have a garlic crusher, so I'll mince about 4.
1 28-ounce can of whole San Marzano tomatoes. Boop. Hope I didn't squirt you there. We're putting them in a bowl and crushing them by hand.
Squirting is not allowed in my house, so I'm just gonna start cooking and crush it later.
Adding our chopped onion and sweating for 2 to 3 minutes or until translucent around the edges.
We're gonna sweat the onion and garlic till it's almost translucent.
Adding a pinch of crushed red pepper flake.
I don't have that, so I'm gonna use some oregano.
A little shake of oregano.
And then some oregano.
A little shake of basil. Oh, big shake of basil.
And finally finish off with oregano.
Along with 2 to 3 tablespoons of tomato paste to deepen the flavor.
Now I'll add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste about 2 minutes ago. Once the tomato paste develops a little bit of caramelization, we can add the tomatoes.
And then we're going to add the crushed tomatoes.
Now we'll add a can of whole peeled tomatoes and then crush it with my Ligma fork as such.
Simmering for 20 to 30 minutes.
Scrape the bottom and sides once in a while so it doesn't burn.
Nice and thick, and when you drag a spoon through it, it parts like the Red Sea. You get it? I thought it was funny.
So humorous. I dying laughing. I dead now.
We want our sauce to become a thick paste and the spoon to become James Harden.
James Harden always looks like he's just about to lead the Israelites through the Red Sea.
And by this time, our dough should be nice and relaxed, and we should be able to press it up against the sides of the pan, and it should hold its shape with ease.
Pause. Let's rewind it real quick.
It should hold its shape with ease.
That dough is shrinking back like me in the nervous situation. My dough is looking pretty unattractive right now, so we're gonna punch it down and spread it. Make sure the size of the crust is pretty thick, because just like my last weekend, it's about to take in 4 sausages.
Then before we lay down the cheese, we're gonna start by laying down the sausage. And yeah, this is raw sausage, which is weird, I know.
I mean, pretty normal for me. Before we layer the sausage down onto the dough, we're gonna remove the casing around it. The professional culinary term for this process is called circumcision. Once they're all evenly laid out, we can start adding the cheese.
It's topped with cheese, sauce, and more cheese. Same cook time and temperature, 425 Fahrenheit for 25 to 35 minutes.
Now on top of the sausage, according to Babish, is traditionally topped with a layer of deli-style provolone and mozzarella. Now it's time to add a layer of tomato sauce, just enough to hide all the cheeses so that it looks healthy. Just in case there's not enough cheese in this dish, we're gonna grate some parmesan on top. And then right before it goes into the oven, we'll drizzle some olive oil on top and around the crust. And our deep dish is ready to bake. It looks pretty good, but it's heavy as hell. It's gotta be at least 10 pounds. Like me when I was born, into a 425-degree oven for 30 minutes.
Baking until this happens.
I baked it until this happened.
And then it's time for the heroic act of getting the pizza out the pan. You just have to trust the pizza's structural integrity, and out it will go.
I do trust the pizza's structural integrity, but the thing I don't trust the most is myself. We're just gonna do what I'm the most good at and just pull it out.
And then you want to wait at least 10 minutes before cutting in and serving. I did not wait 10 minutes. I was hungry and I had hungry friends in the other room, and this is what happened.
I am gonna wait for 10 minutes because I'm not that hungry. I'm still feeling a little sick from lunch, and I don't have any friends. Although this is a perfect time to check with you on Instagram to see if you're proud of me. And after 10 minutes, we can cut into a piece and inspect its cheese pull. It's a little bit pathetic, but I guess apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty good looking deep dish slice. The sausage is cooked all the way through and the cheese is nice and melted. I think I might have made the crust too tall on the sides because it's a little overdone. Now it's time to grab our Ligma fork, taste it, and rate it 1 through 10.
Damn.
Pizza always tastes better if you use your hand. It's been more than 10 minutes, the filling is still burning hot. The acidity from the tomato sauce contrasts the fattiness of the cheese very well. The deli-style provolone and mozzarella are so stretchy, I can drag it across the whole screen like this. The aromatics and the spices from the sausage is perfectly complemented by the simplicity of flavor provided by the sauce and the cheese. But I have to be honest, the crust does not taste good at all. It's hard and dry. It tastes like a sponge and a cardboard had hate sex. Of course, the only thing I made from scratch is the one dragging the whole dish down. I'll give my pizza a 6 out of 10, but Babish recipe 9 out of 10. Alright, thank you.